Welcome to another Lux Scout bedtime story. The Garden of Forgotten Seeds. In a secluded valley, far from any village, there was an ancient garden hidden from sight. The garden was unlike any other. It held plants that grew from forgotten seeds, seeds that had been cast aside and left to the whims of nature. This garden was tended by a quiet and solitary gardener named Fern. She had dedicated her life to caring for these seeds, believing that every forgotten thing deserved a second chance. Each morning Fern rose with the sun, watering the plants, removing weeds, and making sure each seed had the space and care it needed to grow. She didn't mind her solitude and often felt at peace in her quiet garden. However, there was one thing that lingered in her heart, a question she could not answer. Will these plants ever bloom, she wondered. For years she had nurtured the seeds, but only a few had grown into strong plants, and none had yet flowered. The villagers who occasionally passed by called her garden the Field of Lost Hopes, but Fern knew that one day, if she was patient enough, these forgotten seeds might surprise them all. As the seasons changed, Fern continued to tend to the seeds. Spring came with gentle rains and warm breezes, and some seeds began to sprout, sending out small, tender shoots. Fern's heart swelled with joy, but she remained patient, knowing that the journey from seed to bloom could be long. Summer arrived, bringing bright sunshine, and the garden grew lush and green. Fern worked tirelessly, making sure each plant received enough water and protection from the heat. But as the hot days turned to autumn, Fern noticed that while the plants were strong, they still hadn't bloomed. She began to wonder if perhaps these plants were meant only for leaves, not flowers. Still, she did not give up. A garden doesn't grow on anyone's schedule, she reminded herself. I will wait as long as it takes. Winter came, and snow covered the valley, blanketing the garden in stillness. Many of the plants withered under the cold, but Fern stayed by their side, clearing snow and whispering words of encouragement to the seeds resting beneath the frozen soil. She knew that growth was happening, even if she couldn't see it. One spring morning, as the frost began to thaw and the first hints of green peeked through the soil, a young traveller happened upon the garden. The traveller was weary from his long journey, his face lined with worry and fatigue. He looked at the garden, then at Fern, and asked, "Why do you care so much for seeds that others have abandoned?" Fern smiled softly and replied, "Every seed has a potential that cannot be seen from the outside. These seeds may have been forgotten, but they are still full of life. All they need is patience, time, and someone to believe in them." The traveller sat with her in the garden, watching as she cared for the plants with a calm dedication he had never seen before. He told her of his own struggles and how he felt like a seed cast aside, unable to grow or find his place in the world. "I'm like these seeds," he said. "No one sees what I'm capable of." Fern placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "Perhaps you just haven't found the right time or place yet. Growth doesn't always happen when or where we expect it, but if you keep nurturing what's inside you, you'll bloom in your own time." The traveller left the garden with a newfound sense of hope, carrying Fern's words in his heart. And for the first time, he began to believe that he too could find his own path. One quiet dawn, as she walked through the garden, she noticed something new. A single blossom had appeared on one of the plants. Its petals were delicate and vibrant, with colours she had never seen before. The flower seemed to radiate a quiet strength, as if it had been waiting all this time for the perfect moment to reveal its beauty. Tears of joy filled Fern's eyes. She had waited so long, and finally one of the forgotten seeds had bloomed. She knelt beside it, feeling as though the garden itself was whispering words of gratitude to her. This small blossom was a symbol of patience, of resilience, and of the beauty that can come from waiting and believing in hidden potential. Word spread to the villagers, and soon people from near and far came to see the blooming garden. They marvelled at the flowers and spoke of how they had never seen such beauty in a place once thought barren. They began to call it the Garden of Hope, and they understood now that even things once cast aside could bloom in their own time, if only someone believed in them. Fern continued her work, grateful for every blossom, every leaf, and every seed she had nurtured. She knew that her garden had become more than a place of beauty. It was a testament to the power of patience, of seeing potential in the unseen, and of never giving up on what others may have forgotten. As you lie in your bed tonight, remember the story of Fern and her garden. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and think of the seeds of potential that lie within you, waiting for their time to bloom. Know that even if others can't see it yet, your time will come, and the beauty within you will find its way into the world. Let this thought guide you into a peaceful and restful sleep. Good night.